Hello everybody and welcome back. Another week has come and gone, and if you were to ask me, I would say regarding the microME, this one was the most fun. Because I was able to do a lot of things that I hadn't been able to do before that, but I'll just show you. So we have the standard setup that we've been having before. Nothing's on the board changed. I've done a lot of work on the SD card, and the SD card is working a lot better and a lot more consistent than it had been before. And, well, let me just show you. For a start, what I can now do, I can go here and, like on a Commodore 64, say, load $, and it'll load something, and if I list it, I will get a listing of all the files that are on the system, which is pretty useful. There's no directories in there yet. Everything is on the root of the SD card, and there are some limitations to the numbers of files that I can display, but I will be addressing those at a later time. I'm just trying to get as much as possible working as soon as possible. So now that I have a lot of programs that I can run from, I've started writing test programs. So, like for example, a test program for the LEDs. So I can load test led.bas. And it'll load it, and there's still some debug messages in there which are telling me that it did load the file, and I can see all of the lines because it indexes them so the editor can then do its thing with them. We can list the file and we'll get the file. The only thing that I haven't really addressed yet is I don't have a paging list that I can just stop, continue, and maybe even go back. I think I'm going to have to work on something like that. But I've been using an editor to do all these files, and I just transfer them through the SD card. So let's run this. So what this test does is it basically creates a test where it tests the LEDs at the front through different ways of running them, and it is just going to turn them on for now, change the colors, because each of the LEDs has 3 bytes, so we can do a lot of different stuff. I've got the possibility to have fading lights, so all of the light that is not fully lit right now is done by the Arduino and is not even set by the program here. These things are all made so they are as simple as possible. Most of the intelligence and most of the computing work is done by the Arduino right now. And sometimes, as you can see here, I do run in some communication errors because I'm really pushing it right now, and in the future there won't be an error, it will just retry automatically. But for now I want to see how many errors there are, so there are messages right now. Now, as you saw, it went through some of the modes that it is able to do, and well, right now it seems that I can use all of the things that I started out with. The same thing is true for the parallel port. On the end here, I've got a test which is called test lpt dot, well, I should load it maybe. Load test lpt dot bas, and we can load that. And if we run that, it will first of all test the pins back here, which start to blink. So all of the pins on the parallel port, 13 of them, can be directly addressed. They can be turned on, they can be turned off, or you can use them to send a byte to a printer. And you can read whatever is coming back from the printer, like ready, error, selected, stuff like that. Paper out, for example. All of that works. I haven't written any code to exploit that yet, but that'll come in time, I suppose. And if I set the ports, I can actually see what they're doing, and I can query the ports. So I have the ports set on input mode right here, so I can see all the ports are now at 0. Then I can set to input pull-up mode, and because there are 2 LEDs on those 2 ports back there, I can actually see that port 0 and 1 are being dragged down by those LEDs, which makes me see that the input is working. And the same is true for reading the 6 analogs that I've got access to, and they too are working really well. Oh well, yeah, it's 7 analogs, so that was a one-off. And then you can reset them and it'll just work as it did before, which is also really, really nice. So what else do we have? It's quite handy that I've got a directory now. Yeah, we've got a basic test of the graphics capabilities and speed, which is GR load gra-rnd.bas, which is just going to display random lines with random colors and do it as fast as possible. And if I run that, you can actually see that it's doing that, and it's just doing it on 240 by 255 pixels, because I was testing different screen resolutions too, and I was trying to figure out which worked good and which didn't work as good. So as you can see, this is running pretty fast. Now we can just break out of that with Control-C, and it will stop right away. And those are the things that I've been doing, and I've been spending time trying to get some more complicated stuff working. For example, I have a Mandelbrot, which is this program, and we must actually remove a line from there, like that. And it's pretty simple, but it puts the system through quite some load, and it takes a while to actually draw the image. It's working at 200 by 200 pixels, and the x-axis pixels are basically twice the width. So let's run this, and this is going to take some time, but I'll just speed that up, and you can actually see the speed that this is running at, which is pretty fast. Also, you should note that I'm using 64 iterations to get 64 different colors, or shades of colors, and it's doing that pretty well. So it's actually starting at the top, and it will go down, and the more complex an area becomes, the longer it will take there, because it has to go through more iterations. And in the end, we will have a pretty sweet little Mandelbrot image. And yeah, that is basically how far I've gotten in this week, and I've really enjoyed doing that. It's a lot of fun making these things happen, and going back to programming BASIC and finding out what BASIC can do and what BASIC can't do. For example, this BASIC interpreter only does integer values, so you can't use floats, which is kind of odd, but once you've gotten used to it, it's actually pretty easy to work with. And as you can see, it just works. So I'll just leave you with this image. And from me, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice weekend.